Acting is harder than it looks. Imagine having to dress up in spandex in front of hundreds of crew members, stand in front of a green screen and spend your day punching tennis balls on the end of sticks. And then you've got to make it all look convincing and deal with people on Reddit hating you no matter how good or bad the film turns out. It's a truly difficult job with a ton of different pressures involved, staying in shape, spending months away from family and friends, and perhaps the biggest of these is the fact that every actor is essentially competing for the spotlight with their co-stars, and risks being overshadowed if they don't at least try to do something special. As a result, many actors get creative when building up their characters, going to some crazy and ingenious lengths to make their performances noticeable and stand out to the audience. Some have strange theories about which side of the screen is best, others insist on doing all sorts of dangerous and insane stunts, and some even physically harm themselves in order to get into character and punch up their performance. So with that in mind, I'm Will for Whatculture, and here are 8 genius ways actors made sure you noticed them in movies. Number 8. Benicio del Toro adopted an unusual voice for the usual suspects. In an effort to make the most of his limited screen time in 1995's The Usual Suspects, Benicio del Toro decided to try and make his character pop by giving him a weird accent and speech pattern. Upon reading the script for Bryan Singer's Oscar-winning mystery, del Toro realized that the ultimate purpose of his character, quirky crook Fred Fenster, was to die without having any meaningful impact on the story. As a result, he decided to have a little bit of fun with the role. Talking to Singer about just how inconsequential Fenster's actions and dialogue were, the actor asked if he could play around with the character to try and make him more memorable. This led to him deciding to play Fenster as a half-German, half-Chinese oddball who grew up in Harlem. The accompanying accent and garbled dialogue were both intentional, with del Toro trying his best to deliver an entertaining character, despite his lack of importance to the story. Number 7. Tom Hardy wore special shoes to make him the same height as Christian Bale. If you've ever seen Tom Hardy on the red carpet, you've probably noticed that he's actually quite a short guy, at least when compared to the perception that all Hollywood leading men need to be strapping chiseled dudes over 6 feet tall. At 5 feet 9 inches, the actor had a bit of trouble squaring up to Christian Bale, who stands at exactly 6 feet while shooting The Dark Knight Rises, despite packing on an insane amount of muscle for his role as bald badass Bane. When studio executives requested that he be able to look Batman straight in the eyes during their many showdowns, Hardy used a clever trick that ensured his character would not be swallowed up by Bale's hulking shadow. While the movie was shooting in mid-2011, it was reported that Hardy had been fitted with specially made shoes that sported a 3-inch height lift, allowing him to match Bale's presence. The evidence of this is on screen. Look at any scene featuring Bane and Batman stood on level ground, and you can see that the two characters stand at almost exactly the same height, despite there being a 3-inch gap between the two actors in real life. Number 6. Steve McQueen demanded the same amount of lines as co-star Paul Newman. Acting legends Steve McQueen and Paul Newman are remembered as peers and equals today, both just as famous and A-list as each other. So it is quite hard to imagine a time where there was competitive friction between the two, but while filming 1974's The Towering Inferno, McQueen tried as hard as he could to be viewed on the same level as co-star Newman. While Newman is the lead of the film, McQueen didn't want to be viewed as just another supporting player, and sought ways to make his character, Michael O'Hallahan, a fire department chief, a more prominent part of the movie. So, in a no-nonsense move, he demanded that 12 more lines of dialogue should be given to his character, so he and Newman would be on a more level playing field in terms of screen time and words spoken. In an effort to be noticed even further, he also requested for the brim of his fireman's helmet to be cut back slightly so that his eyes weren't covered in shadow. Number 5. Brad Pitt chopped up his hair and wore a fake nose for Guy Ritchie's Snatch. Brad Pitt is often described as a pretty boy Hollywood actor, and while he's definitely a handsome dude, he's also not vain to a fault and will go to whatever lengths necessary to make his characters stand out and look the part. For evidence, look no further than Guy Ritchie's 2000 gangster caper Snatch. Impressed with the director's previous film, Brad Pitt asked to star in his next one and was eventually cast as boxer Mickey O'Neill. This meant that he would have to go a massive physical transformation in order to look like the unpredictable Irish bare-knuckle fighter he was set to play, all in the name of making O'Neill as unforgettable a presence as he could possibly be, and Pitt was more than up to the task. For starters, he had a good amount of hair chopped off and hacked up, a false bridge added to his nose, and his arms and hands were covered in an assortment of fake tattoos. Also, he reportedly did not wash for the duration of the shoot and wore old, dirty clothes for that extra bit of realism. In the end, his efforts paid off, and O'Neill is easily the most entertaining character in the film, and the one people remember the most. Number 4. Geoffrey Rush stood on the left side of the screen while shooting Pirates of the Caribbean. Geoffrey Rush's Captain Barbossa is one of the most entertaining supporting characters in the Pirates of the Caribbean series, and during the 14 years he inhabited the role, the actor made use of a clever trick to ensure he was always catching the eyes of his viewers. Rush has a theory that audiences watch movies in the same way they read books. He thinks that people automatically zone in on the left side of the screen and work their way to the right, scanning each shot in this manner. This means that characters on the left side of the screen effectively stand out more than those on the right, which is why Rush always ensured he was positioning himself for maximum impact. While shooting the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, the actor became concerned that his more attractive cast members, mainly Keira Knightley, would hog the spotlight, so he requested that he be placed to the right of them where possible. This way he would be on the left side of the screen in the finished movie, the space where audience members will generally focus their gaze first. Number 3. Tom Cruise insisted that he should be the one to do all his character's stunts. Tom Cruise is one of the few bankable action stars working in Hollywood today, and he always goes out of his way to ensure that the people who pay to see his movies get the best in-theater experience possible. On the Mission Impossible series, Cruise insists on doing all his own stunts so the audience can tell it's him, the guy who's actually playing Ethan Hunt, who's at the forefront of the action, and not some random stunt double. This has a knock-on effect of allowing filmmakers to make these action sequences clearer, since they don't have to cut away to hide a stuntman's face. Over the years, Cruise has climbed the Burj Khalifa, strapped himself to the side of a flying plane, performed a halo jump, hung from a rope below a helicopter, and broken his ankle while sprinting across the rooftops of London, all in the name of some kick-ass action sequences. Points for effort. Number 2. Shia LaBeouf cut his own face while shooting Fury. Shia LaBeouf has had an absolutely mental last couple of years. You know the song, he's a crazy dude. Unsurprisingly, his crazy shenanigans aren't just limited to those that take place off-screen, and while shooting the 2014 war drama Fury, he went to some rather extreme measures to make his war-torn character's facial injuries look more realistic. In a piece about the film, GQ magazine spoke with LaBeouf's co-star Logan Lerman, who revealed that the cuts on LaBeouf's face, which can be seen at many points throughout the film, weren't applied with makeup. They were real, and I quote, "We were in makeup and they were putting cuts on Shia, and he said, yeah, it looks good, and Shia was like, no, it doesn't look real." Then he walks out into the hallway and says, "Hey man, you want to see something fun? Check this out." Then he takes out a knife and cuts his own face, and for the whole movie he kept opening those cuts on his face. That is all real. Yes, wanting to add more realism and authenticity to his character, LaBeouf took it upon himself to slash his own face. He also went to a dentist and asked to have a tooth removed for the same reason. Yeah, never go full Shia LaBeouf, kids. Number 1. Charlie Sheen stayed up for 2 days straight in order to achieve that wasted look. Charlie Sheen only has a small role in John Hughes' classic comedy Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but he sure did commit to making his character, a drug-addled teen sat in a police station, as standout a presence as he possibly could. Nowadays, Sheen probably doesn't have to do anything to make himself look wasted, but back when he was a fresh-faced youngster looking to make his mark on the movie industry, he decided to go to some extreme measures to enhance his performance and create a convincing character, despite only having a few minutes of screen time. The actor went without sleep for a full 48 hours prior to shooting his role, in order to make the character look properly wasted. During the scene, he mentions drugs several times, and the dark circles beneath his puffy red eyes really do add to the overall effect that this guy is stoned to hell.